This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You are watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Now, I want to put a question to you all, and I hope it's a question that we don't have answered this weekend. But here's the question, because obviously Anthony Joshua has a lot of hype, a huge fan base, of course, and he is a superstar. He's like the Pope of boxing. If you want to get a hold of Joshua, you've got more hope of getting a hold of the Pope, is the absolute truth of it. Anyway, what happens if he takes on Alexander Povetkin this weekend and loses? Now, let's hope this doesn't happen. And I don't foresee it happening, but as I said to you guys before, Alexander Povetkin, for whatever reason, seems to be overlooked by a lot of people. I'm not too sure why, because he's never been stopped, and his only one loss was against Vladimir Klitschko. And I know people will say, well, Joshua beat Klitschko, so therefore he should be able to beat Povetkin. No real issues. But as I said to you guys before, this is no cheat code. Just because you have one, it's not Shang Tsung. You do not take the souls of all those before. It doesn't work that way. Every fight is different. Every fight night is different. So styles make fights, and that, of course, you've heard this saying many, many times. So I want to put that question to you anyway, because you never know. And as I said, I hope it doesn't happen. But what if Alexander Povetkin defeats Anthony Joshua? Of course, there'll be a rematch. Well, I say, of course, it will be. It's a mandatory challenger, so maybe it doesn't have to be because it's mandatory. Maybe it's not in the contract. Maybe Povetkin refused that. So anyway, what happens if Alexander Povetkin defeats Anthony Joshua? Now, of course, I was asked this question by my media manager, Scott, and my answer, and it is just a theory, I think that a loss is something that most realistic fans expect to happen at some point. Not necessarily against Povetkin, but at some point. But there again, why not Povetkin? He is going to lose one day. He's not going to go on to be undefeated for the rest of his career. This doesn't happen to virtually anybody. It's only a very select few. And for me, I think if people go through a career for a very long time and don't take a loss, either A, they are the elite of the elite, or B, they're not fighting the best that they possibly can. So a loss for me. Listen, I grew up in the mid to late 80s, obviously through the 90s, and my favourite fighters were losing fights. It happens, you know, and it wasn't deemed as the end of a career. Okay, these fighters will bounce back and still have a career and still be very, very popular. Look at Frank Bruno, look at Lennox Lewis, look at Nigel Benn, etc., etc. So, but we are kind of in the era now where it seems that the undefeated record is so important. It really is. So for me, as I said, it's not the end of the world, but I know for a lot of people, because, you know, let's be real about it, Anthony Joshua's fan base is mostly made up of a casual audience. So they know Joshua, but don't know virtually anybody else. They only know about certain opponents when Joshua is about to fight them, if that makes sense. As in, they probably would never have heard of Alexander Povetkin prior to him signing to fight Joshua. Now they know a little bit about Povetkin. They won't even necessarily have looked into him. They just know he's his next opponent, and they probably know that he's had one loss on his career. And of course, he beat David Price. So, you know what? That is what it is. So for me, I think that Joshua will lose a lot of fans. He will. But that will be dependent on him getting them back by bouncing back quickly. As I said, all the greats of yesteryear all lost fights. Muhammad Ali lost fights. George Foreman lost fights. So many people lose fights. And it's how you bounce back. And Joshua has alluded to this before. He fully expects at some point he's going to lose. But obviously he doesn't want to lose. Of course not. But if he loses, you bounce back. And for me, that will determine. I think if he loses against Povetkin, he's going to shock a lot of people, because a lot of people are overlooking Alexander Povetkin, and I don't quite understand why. But anyway, that is what it is. So anyway, I was going to put that question out to you all. What do you think will happen to Joshua, as far as the fans are concerned? Do you think that the hype train, as a lot of people call it, would be derailed? Do you think it would just be at a station, ready to start again? Do you think that a lot of fans will leave and just not even bother coming back to boxing again? What about the future of Matchroom? Would Anthony Joshua's loss affect Eddie Hearn and Matchroom? I know a lot of people would love that to happen. Personally, I don't think so, but maybe you guys do. I don't speak for everybody. I can only speak for myself. So that's why I'm putting out the question to you. What do you think will happen as far as the public goes, as far as the persona goes, as far as the hype goes? and of course the hype in the UK? Is it all reliant on Anthony Joshua being undefeated? Anyway, you drop your thoughts below about it. You click that thumbs up and subscribe. Catch you all on the next video.